Hello there, Nick from Ofcom here. Just wanted to give you an up-to-date video on how you would set up a Ofcom compliant dialer campaign on our ContactPro hosted contact center service. So I'm logged in as administrator here. I've also got a agent interface tab set up here as well. So the first thing that we'll need to do is we'll need to add some data. So I'm going to add a new list. Give it a numerical list ID, give it a name, and I'll say demo for this purposes. We can give it a description if we want to, and that would normally have your data supplier's name in there, because if you're purchasing data from different suppliers, then it's good to have the name and description, because you can run reports on a per list basis to see which ones are giving you the best results. We then need to assign it to a campaign. So I'll assign it to that campaign there. If I want to start dialing from it immediately, I set it to active, press submit, and all I've done there is I've created a container for data that I can upload leads into. So the other thing I can do here is I can create automated list reset times. So when we upload data for the first time, it's going to have a status of new and a call count of 0. If we want to, obviously when we call that data once, it's going to have a different status and a call count of 1 after it. Obviously some of those leads we want to recycle and call back again, and others we don't. So for example, our answer machines are no answers, we're going to want to recycle those again. So what this does is this allows me to set up automated list reset times at different times of the day, so I don't have to go and manually reset my data. So if, let's say we're working 9 till 5, we reset the data halfway through the day and at the end of the day ready for the following day, then that just takes care of that. So submit that. So that's all we need to do there. Now I'm going to actually load some leads in. So I'm going to click on upload leads. I'm going to browse to a file. I've got something on my desktop which has got my mobile number in it, so we don't disturb anyone in the real world. So I'm going to add that. Tell it which list I want to put it into, which is the one I've just created. Always have phone code override 44 for Great Britain. I can dedupe the data as I upload it, but also I don't want to do that today because it's on my mobile number. So no dupe check today. Press submit, and then I've just got to do my field mapping. So I want to put my phone number into my phone number field. So we've got our dialer database field headers on the left hand side here, and on the right hand side here is my top row headers. So I'm just going to put title into title, first name into first name, last name into last name, etc. Obviously, the more we upload here, the more we map across here, the more will be displayed through to the agent when the call comes through on the agent interface. The only essential one we do is obviously the primary phone number field, because if it doesn't see a value in there, it'll be a bad record and won't upload it at all. So put postcode in there. We've got alt phone field. We can have up to 4 different phone numbers per prospect or per lead if we like, but I'll just do a couple here. We can also create custom fields as well. So if you've got some sort of industry specific data that you'd like to upload to the dialer, then you can do that as well. When I'm done, just click on OK to process, and it's done. 112 good, 1 bad, total 113. That 1 bad, I can tell you now, will be my top row headers. So yeah, record 0, top row headers, bad phone number, so which is what I'd expect to see. So we've uploaded our data, we've assigned it to that campaign. So if we look at the campaign settings now, so we go into our 201 campaign and edit that. So we can see that we have got set it up so we've got closers are allowed. So we can have what we call fronters and closers. So if you want to have a sort of a lower skilled guys on the front line getting a bite of interest, and then if you need to transfer that through to a more highly skilled person, there'd typically be a closer logged in that are ready to be transferred through to, but it's not making outbound calls on their behalf. We've also got this set up as a blended campaign as well. So if an inbound call comes in, then it will also put it through to the same outbound call agents or whoever we've got set up in the in-group or the inbound queue assigned to this campaign. We've got our dial statuses here, so these are all the different types of leads that we're able to dial. So for example, new leads, anything that's been previously dispositioned as a busy or an answer machine or a no answer, So yeah, these aren't all of our call outcome codes. These are just the types of leads that we need to be able to dial. We've got the list order, which defines in which order our data is called. So we could have it from the top down, from the bottom up, or typically we set it a down count, and that will call the freshest data first and lead its way through to the least fresh data. So all of the call count zeros first, all the new leads, then it'll go to the call count ones, then the twos, etc. So working its way through from the freshest data to the least fresh. And then we can basically set up our dial method. Okay, so we can have a manual campaign, which is basically where the agents preview the data before they dial it, and then they can choose to dial or skip it. Ratio, which is also known as power progressive, where we choose a ratio which it dials at, which is currently set to 1, but can be anything up to 4 if we want to. And then we've got adapt, hard limit, tapered and average, which are all different types of predictive dialing, where it's using an algorithm to calculate when to start dialing the next number based on a number of factors, such as number of agents logged in, what their average call duration is, what their average wrap-up time is, etc., etc. Or we can have an inbound campaign where they can make manual outbound calls as well, if we want to. So I'll leave it on ratio for now. If we were using any of the predictive dialer algorithms, then it would also take into account the drop percentage limit setting here. So if I had it set to adapt hard limit and I had that set to 3%, then if the drop rate exceeded 3%, it would crank the pace of the dialing right down to 1%, or one at a time, I should say, in order to ensure that no further calls can be dropped. And then as the drop percentage slowly decreases again, it will start to increase the pace of the dialing. Right, we've got next agent calls. That dictates once the dialer's got someone on the phone, which agent it puts it through to. So typically that's going to be the longest wait time, but you might want to rank your agents on a per campaign basis, so that it can put it through to the highest skilled person for that campaign who is available. But there's lots of other options there as well. We've got our dial timeout here, so this is how long it's going to ring each phone number for before it deems it a no answer and moves on to the next one. So it's Ofcom rigs is minimum 15 seconds, voicemail's kicking at 20 seconds, so we tend to set that to 19 seconds to basically stop calls connecting to voicemails but ensure that you're Ofcom compliant. And then we've got our campaign caller ID, so this is a number that people will see when I'm dialing out through this campaign. We've got a number of options around caller ID, so you can basically buy pots of numbers and rotate around those as caller ID if you want to, or maybe if you've got a presence in multiple cities throughout the country, you can buy inbound phone numbers for each of those cities, and you can present those based on the caller, the area code that you're dialing, etc., etc. So yeah, there's lots of things that we can do around campaign caller ID. And then we've obviously got call recording, so that can be off. It can be on demand, so agents can start the recording manually. All calls mean that the call recording will be started automatically, but they can stop it. All false means that they can't stop it. And then obviously we've got inbuilt scripting, so if agents are new starters and they need a new script, for example, to help them along with their calls, then we can build those on here. We've got answer machine detection built in if you want to use it. And yeah, there's a bunch of settings in here around call recording. So if you're doing three-way transfers, you need to record the transfer leg of the call, etc., etc. We've got scheduled callbacks, so we've got a calendar system built in. So there's either any agent callbacks or agent-specific callbacks. Obviously, with any agent callbacks, they'll just be alerted on their agent interface that they've got a callback because they might already be in a call, or they might be paused or whatever. But basically, they need to stop what they're doing, read up any callback notes they previously wrote, and then dial or skip it. Now, the important thing with a callback is that it gets called back around the date and time that you've agreed. So what you can do is, if an agent's set it to a callback from themselves, but they don't call it back within a certain number of minutes, which we'd set in this setting here, then it can move it to an any agent callback and call it back immediately and get routed through to the first available agent. So it's quite a useful callback feature. And then we've got, so we're forcing agents to insert a pause reason code if they want to pause their session at the moment. And then we've got dispo call URL settings that are used for various things like triggering scripts to analyse phone calls using AI or move data from one list to another, things like that. There's lots of reasons to use a dispo call URL. And because we've got this set as a blended campaign, we've got a couple of inbound queues that are linked to this campaign. So that's the campaign settings. What I can then do is I can check. So typically if a dialer campaign stops dialing, then the first thing you're going to do is to check what leads in the hopper. So I can see that we've all got valid phone numbers there, they're all status new, all call count 0, so data's never been dialed before. So that's looking good. So if I log back in as an agent now, then we should be good to go. But yeah, we can also create status that's specific to this campaign if we want to, so call outcome codes. And we can also set up hotkeys, which are like quick function buttons. We've got nothing set up at the moment, but if I basically add that hotkey as is, now I can an agent can press one on their keypad to hang up and disposition the calls and answer machine. So that's that. And we can set up lead recycling. So I'm already resetting my data halfway through the day at the end of the day. But that might not be sufficient for, let's say, for example, we want to set up a separate rule for busies, engaged tones. So I could say, right, I want to set up a separate rule for busies. I want to reattempt them in 10 minutes, so 600 seconds, and I want to reattempt them up to 5 times. So if I add that now, we've got that set up. If I make that active. Okay, so that's lead recycling. And that's probably what we need to look at in the campaign settings. So if we look at the system settings, then we can look at check that we have got it configured for Ofcom, UK Ofcom drop rate calculation. There we go. So that is correct. So we are set to use the Ofcom UK drop calculation, and there's various other things we can do in as well. So we can have it so that when you're uploading leads through the web lead loaders I showed you earlier, that you've got a valid phone number length and things like that. So there's lots of things, checks and balances that you can add if you want to on here. Right. So I'm now going to log in as a user. Just so that you can see, the new agent interface. There we go. So I'm logged in and ready. If I go back here and I go back to reports and go to live reports, so we can see if I just choose the campaign that I've logged into. And I change the screen refresh rate to 4 seconds. Right, so we can see that just got agent 101 logged in and paused, made no calls yet. So if I go back here now and I go ready, then it should start to ring the first number of the data, which is my mobile number. So okay, there's my mobile phone ringing. Okay, so we're now in a call through the dialer, and you can see that it's populated my name and address and when I uploaded the data. So when I'm done, I literally just hang up that call, and then I choose a call outcome code, which again are all fully customizable. So let's say that I made a sale there. Press submit, and then it's going to shoot that I'm ready to take the next call and start dialing the next number again, which of course is my mobile. So there it is, calling me back again, and we're in a call. So pretty easy from an agent perspective, just dial disposition. Again, I'll just hang that call up, and I will choose a different outcome this time, and I'm just going to check the pause agent dial button and submit so it doesn't ring me back again. And now you can see it's asking for a pause reason code because we've got that mandatory in our campaign settings. So let's say I've gone to text port, and now if we look at the real-time report, we can see that I've made 2 calls and I'm currently pausing tech support. And very easy to live listening as well if I needed to the agent. So if we go to user settings, dashboard. There we go. So on the dashboard there we can see that agent 101 paused, made 2 calls, but if I need to, I can listen in there. I could barge in there if I wanted to, or I could whisper coach to that agent, or I can log them out if I wanted to as well. So there you go. So there's a whistle-stop tour of setting up an Ofcom compliant dialer campaign using Hostcom's ContactPro hosted dialer service. Thanks for watching.